Hello ladies and gents, this is another video brought to you by Messor. And today's video is my Formica colonies are dying, all of them, and I'm not even joking, guys. It's bad. I've got about 3 different colonies of Formica species, and all of them are doing quite badly at the moment. So I'll just go through them one by one and tell you what my issues are, and then you guys can tell me at the end what your thoughts are. Well, let's get started with my Formica sanguineas, or my slave makers. So this was actually my second colony. My first colony, unfortunately, was the only colony I actually lost during hibernation this year, and I was absolutely devastated. So at the start of the season, I picked up some more, and as you can see here, I haven't got many slaves from it at the moment, but there is absolutely packed full of sanguinea or slave maker workers. They're all over the place. I've got about, give or take, 20-25, and I've got a really healthy batch of eggs and larvae, as you can see there. But there's one thing you will notice about them, and that's what's absent. Yep, the queen, she is not there. It's kind of a funny one, really, because I don't quite understand what on earth has occurred. Because, how can I say it? Literally, I found the queen dead, and I'll show you a picture of her in a second. Earlier this week. Now, the guys that are on Instagram have already seen this picture, but anyway, when I show it anyway. And what really was frustrating, the fact that there was so many young eggs there. So literally, the queen laid a load of eggs again, and the workers were like, do you know what? I don't think we like you, and they killed her. And I can tell you they killed her because they absolutely dismembered her, and you'll see a bit more of that in a second. And I've got no idea why. I mean, nothing has changed, but wow. I checked her at the weekend and she was fine and dandy like sugar candy, and then when I came to check her about 3 days later, this was it. They'd dismembered her legs, they'd cut her head off, and I cannot tell you why they have done this. I have wrapped my brains about, has this behaviour been observed before? The answer to that's not that I'm aware of. So why they just turned around and killed the queen, I will never know. And a couple of days later, I found her head, and there it is. Now, the reason why I think she was attacked and killed is because a queen that's on her way out generally doesn't lay a fresh batch of eggs like she did. So that kind of tells me that actually she was healthy, she was doing well, and then the workers for some reason turned on her, and I don't know why. So, I mean, I have contemplated potentially offering them another sanguinea queen because I know that they're parasitic. I don't know if they can be parasitic against other sanguineas. I'm not entirely sure, but there is nuptial flights coming up this year. If there's much left of this colony, I may get 2 sanguinea queens just in case. If I do try to introduce them to this colony and she dies, I've still got another one. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do yet, but this isn't the first bit of bad news that I've got to report to you today. This is my Formica barbarus queen. She was doing really well towards the end of the summer last year. Had plenty of brood, and I decided not to hibernate her because she kept on producing eggs. Captain Hindsight to the rescue. I should have probably hibernated and I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in now. But all of her workers have died, and literally this is all that's left is the queen. So she's currently in the Venus nest, as you can see here, and what I'm doing here is that she hasn't eaten for a long while because her workers died a little while ago. So I'm going to pop a bit of Anty blue goo in there to see. It's not called blue goo. What is actually called? I've got it here somewhere. Let me have a look. It is dropping everywhere. It's actually called blue goo. It's called blue goo because I can't read it because I'm dyslexic. So blue goo. So you've got Anty blue goo here, and as you can see, she's gone straight onto it. No hesitation. So clearly she was quite hungry for some sugars. So not only do I watch her for a little while to watch her behaviour, I actually decide, which you'll see in a bit, to put some a baby cockroach nymph in there to see if I leave her be and she starts feeding on the protein that she might lay some eggs again. She literally went from nearly 50 workers to nothing in quite a short period, to be honest. And I kind of thought, well, I'm having a die off. Okay, it's my own fault. I didn't hibernate her, and I got a bit too arrogant, maybe one could say. And I didn't hibernate her, so her workers are dying. But what I didn't expect to do is all the workers to die and her to be left like she is. I kind of expected her to settle down and start laying some more eggs. I'm not giving up on her, but I think the likelihood of her recovering is very slim. If I do see any more Rufa barbarus for sale at the end of this nuptial flights this year, I am going to get some more, because what I really want to do, which I seem to be struggling with, is to get a stable Rufa Formica sanguinea or slave maker colony together, and keep that sustained with a number of other Formica colonies which I can harvest brood off, which is what the Venus nest would be really good for, and as well as the Saturn. But I'll talk more about this Wakooshi Saturn nest. I'll talk more about that in a bit, because yeah, I'll talk about it in a bit. Like I said, I'm really disappointed with what's gone on with this one, but I mean, she is feeding, which is a big plus. Well, she's taking sugars on anyway, so I'm kind of hoping she's still desperate for life. Now, normally when a queen has workers and they all die off, I generally had the opinion that the queens are white off because she won't look after herself. But I did have, I know these are different species, but I did have a Lagus niger colony which died out. All the workers died out over hibernation, but the queen survived, and believe it or not, the only survivor, and believe it or not, she actually laid more eggs and produced more workers. So it isn't beyond the realms of possibility that she may have a turnaround and she may start laying eggs again. All I can do is keep fingers crossed and hope she pulls through, because she is beautiful and I don't want to see her go. Now, if we move on to my Formica fuscas, I've had these for about 2 years now. I've had 2 hibernations with them, I think it is, off the top of my head. This isn't all doom and gloom, but it still isn't brilliant. So I moved them into the Saturn nest from Wakooshi, and I moved them in there with a fresh pile of eggs, because it wasn't long after I got out of hibernation, and she moved into this setup. Now, since then, the eggs haven't developed. I don't know why they've not developed, because the queen's blatantly fertile, because she's laid eggs and developed into work, as you can see here at the back end of last season. In fact, at the start of last season, and she never laid any more eggs after the start. So these workers are literally about just over a year old now, or about a year old. So when I moved them into the Saturn nest, the whole point of this was because I'll be able to easily harvest the brood if I chose to. And look, there's some of the eggs there themselves, but like I said, they've not developed. Now, I know full well that Formicas are very skitty, but these guys have been on the shelf, away from the door, no vibrations. I literally opened at the top, dropped some food in, as you can see there, and I've left them to it, hoping that they'll settle down for the brood develop, but it hasn't. So what I've decided to do is move them out of this, because there is no light blocking, and that's the only thing I could possibly think that might be stressing them out enough for them not to want to work on their develop the brood. Like I said, clearly she's fertile, so it's obviously a reason behind this, and I can't figure it out for love or money. Previously, she's been in a blacked out test tube, like a proper blacked out test tube, and she developed brood, and then I moved her into this, because I think it was just a tube, and like one of those small outworlds I got from AliExpress, I think it was, and she did fine last season. This season I was expecting bigger, better things from her, but clearly it has not happened. So what I'm doing here is, because luckily enough for me, the size of the Venus nest I've got is just the exact same size test tubes. They're in the Venus nest. So all I'm doing is moving the test tubes from the Saturn to the Venus, and then I'm going to leave them in there to settle down. So, I mean, one could argue that you don't need 3 test tubes for her, so why did you put 3 test tubes in? Well, I wanted them to expand. The brood does take up a lot of space, and there's not a lot of space in those test tubes currently. So I just wanted to give them the space. I didn't go crazy and fill it all up full of test tubes and stuff, but I did. One could argue I put too many in, but arguably I'm wittering on. It is what it is. I've moved them into now to the Venus nest, so I'm hopefully she will settle down, because she's going to have the black top on it, because I did originally have my Messor barbarus in here, but as you guys well know, I've moved them into the Ant Boy UK Smart Nest, and by the way, they're doing really well, which is cool. So at the moment, this is what I'm doing with these guys. Is it going to turn them around? I honestly couldn't tell you. Hopefully it does, because I really like the Formica fuscas. I know they're skitty as anything. I know they're super sensitive to vibrations and everything like that. And I've put them back on the exact same shelf that they were on before. So fingers crossed, she'll be okay. And before the haters start as well, I'd like to point out I did hibernate these as well. I did not, these went through hibernation as normal. It was only my Formica barbarus that I didn't hibernate. So disclaimer to the haters. So that's it for today then, guys. This is all that I wanted to talk about. But what I will talk about is AntCon. Don't forget, next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend is AntCon. I am going to be there. A load of content creators going to be there. I can't wait to see everybody. I'm going down Friday night so I can get pissed with everyone and have a couple of bevies, because I love drinking alcohol, as you guys well know, and getting drunk and being merry. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. It was a short video today then, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe, and also check out my Facebook and Instagram page, because I try to get back to everybody that messages me. I can't end the video without saying a big thanks to my Patreon supporters. So please everyone join me in thanking my Patreon supporters: Adam W, Adrian, Antantics, Anty Matters, David D, Jason W, Kevin R, Paul 8, Pavance and PJGrant. Without your support, my channel won't be what it is today. But anyway, that's it for today then, guys. I do hope you enjoyed this video and look forward to seeing you in my next one. Bye bye for now.